Every war begins with a whisper. Not out there, but in here. Before the chaos hits your life, before the pain enters your relationships, before the failure shows up on the outside. There was a thought. One, silent, unquestioned, and you didn't challenge it. You obeyed it, you let it in. You let it narrate, you let it grow roots in the fertile soil of your unawareness, and now it speaks for you, moves for you, decides for you. But make no mistake, every unmastered thought becomes a master. And the thoughts you do not master will build your reality without your consent. That voice in your head, the one that doubts, delays, distracts, it wasn't born in you. It was installed by repetition, by trauma, by culture. And you've been living by its rules, thinking it's you. It's not. It's a ghost with your face on it. But that ends now, because you're not here to be ruled. You're here to remember that you are the architect of the voice. You're here to reclaim the throne behind your thoughts. You're here to master the thought before it masters you. This is Cyphoria, the awakening chaos. The moment the false thought pattern collapses under the weight of truth, not quietly, not gently, but like a scream inside silence. Because to wake up, you have to first feel how deeply asleep you've been. You have to look at your life and see how much of it was built from a blueprint you never approved. The house is sturdy. The rooms are furnished. But the foundation, a lie. And Cyphoria is when you feel the whole structure sway. Not because it's punishment, but because it's time to rebuild. This is not collapse. This is clearing. This is not madness. This is remembrance. Because the moment you ask, who told me this thought was true? You loosen the chains. And the more you ask, the more the mind stops echoing the world and starts reflecting your soul. Mindset is the gatekeeper. If you don't command it, it becomes the perfect host for every thought that feeds your fear. Mindset isn't about thinking happy thoughts. It's about becoming a watchtower. It's about knowing that every thought that enters your mind is either a seed or a saboteur, a tool or a trick, an ally or an assassin, and you don't get to be passive anymore. You don't get to say, that's just the way I am. You don't get to call your programming personality. You are not your patterns. You are the one observing them. And once you know that, you stop identifying with the noise. You start steering it. Your mindset must be designed like a fortress. One door, no shortcuts. Only the thoughts that serve your purpose. Make it in. Every other voice, interrogate it. Ask, where did you come from? Who profits from me believing this? Are you building me or breaking me? Because your mind doesn't care what's true. It cares what's familiar. And your job, if you want to be free, is to make truth more familiar than fear. Belief is the architecture of your unconscious. It is the silent builder of every decision, every boundary, every identity you wear. And yet, most people don't even know what they believe. They just feel stuck, stifled, small, not realizing their beliefs were never theirs to begin with. They were inherited like furniture, hand-me-downs from childhood, dusty commandments from dogma, rules written by ancestors in survival and passed to you as gospel. But you are not here to live in someone else's temple. You're here to build your own. Belief is not a mood. It's not a mantra. It is the coded law that your subconscious follows like gravity. So if you keep experiencing cycles, you can't explain, look deeper. Not at your actions, but at the beliefs that are silently directing them. And if the belief is built on fear, no amount of success will satisfy you. If the belief is built on shame, no amount of praise will make you feel worthy. You must demolish the belief before you decorate the life. You must burn the foundation before you renovate the room. Because if you try to thrive in a house built on lies, you'll always feel like an intruder in your own soul. Clarity is not found in the light. It is extracted from the dark. You will not become clear by avoiding discomfort. You become clear when you lean into the discomfort and ask it what it wants you to know. Clarity is what happens when you remove the mental malware that's been running in the background of your choices. It's what happens when you realize that overthinking was never your issue. It was underhearing. You weren't overthinking. You were avoiding the thought that mattered most. Clarity requires confrontation of your truth, of your attachments, of your avoidance. And clarity is expensive, because to get it, you must give up what's fogging you. The distractions, the projections, the filters that let you see yourself as not ready yet. But when clarity lands, it lands like thunder. Suddenly, the excuses don't work anymore. The lies can't seduce you. The fear loses its language. Because now, you see, and a mind that sees clearly is a mind that no longer negotiates with sabotage. Vision is the container that gives your thoughts shape. Without vision, your thoughts are homeless. They roam, they react, they repeat history. But with vision, your thoughts begin to build. They become bricks. They become blueprints. They become steps towards something undeniable. You don't rise because of motivation. You rise because your vision makes standing still unbearable. You rise because your vision pulls you through doubt like gravity. And most people don't have a vision problem. They have a permission problem. They're waiting for someone to validate what their soul already whispered years ago. But no one's coming. Not to give you the vision, not to prove it, not to translate it for others. That's your job. And once you hold the vision with both hands, your thoughts begin to organize around it. They stop attacking. They start assisting. Because now they have a commander. And a mind with vision is a mind that builds a world that did not exist before it dared to believe. Purpose is the gravitational field of thought. Without it, your mind floats, detached, distracted, directionless. You start mistaking noise for meaning. You start confusing movement with momentum. You get busy, but you don't become. Purpose is the thought beneath the thought. The root code your system responds to, even when you're not aware of it. And for most people, that code was written in fear. Avoid pain. Avoid judgment. Avoid being too seen, too loud, too real. But fear is not a purpose. It is a leash. And as long as fear is driving your system, your thoughts will obey the wrong master. But when you anchor your mind in purpose, everything changes. You stop thinking just to survive. You start thinking to build. You stop looping the past. You start designing the future. Purpose gives thought weight. It filters out the lies before they reach your focus. It gives you a why strong enough to silence the inner noise. Not because it makes life easier, but because it makes life undeniably yours. Discipline is the daily vote you cast for who you want to be. You can't just think your way into transformation. You must train it every single day, not as punishment, but as remembrance. Discipline is remembering that your mind, left to its own devices, will drift back to the path of least resistance. It will seduce you with shortcuts. It will whisper, skip today. Nobody's watching, but you're watching. And every skipped ritual, every unchallenged excuse is a message to your unconscious. My comfort is more important than my calling. That's why discipline matters. It's not about doing more. It's about showing up when it's hardest to believe in yourself. Because when you show up without motivation, you master the voice that once mastered you. You stop being ruled by thoughts and start ruling them through ritual. You become sovereign, not through success, but through consistency in the absence of applause. Action breaks the spell. The longer you think without moving, the more power your thoughts gain over you. The mind is a clever trap. It knows how to mimic progress. It will let you plan forever, as long as you never leap. But thought without movement becomes a cage. Eventually, even your best ideas rot. Action is your declaration. I am not waiting for the fear to leave. I am moving anyway. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be true. One call, one post, one boundary set, one habit kept. Each one builds memory, and memory becomes momentum. You stop thinking from wounds and start living from will. You stop asking the mind for permission and start commanding it into motion. And that motion rewires the entire system, because the body always tells the brain what's real. And when the body acts from alignment, the mind has no choice but to follow. Gratitude is how you sterilize the thought before it poisons you. A mind in fear looks for what's missing. A mind in presence looks for what's already working. This isn't delusion. It's discipline. The discipline of focus. The courage to see light even when your pain wants darkness. You can't think clearly while your attention is wrapped around what's absent. You can't rise while your thoughts are orbiting a reality you resent. Gratitude breaks that loop. It says, there is still something sacred here, and I choose to honor it. Even if it's just breath, even if it's just another chance to rebuild, even if it's just the fact that you made it through yesterday. Gratitude shifts the thought from, why is this happening to me, to, what am I becoming because of this? And once that shift occurs, your mind stops mourning the past and starts magnifying the present. That's how you master thought. Not by silencing it, but by directing it back to power. Adaptability is how you keep thought fluid, not fragile. A rigid mind breaks when the world bends, but a ruled mind bends with intention. Your thoughts were never meant to stay the same. They were meant to evolve with you. Adaptability is the awareness that just because a thought helped you survive doesn't mean it deserves a place in your future. You can thank it, then release it, because now you are not who you were, and your mental operating system must match your current identity, not your former trauma. You are not betraying yourself by changing. You are betraying yourself by pretending not to have grown. Adaptability is a kind of mental agility that keeps your vision sacred, but your strategy flexible, your values grounded, but your expression alive. You become a shapeshifter with a spine, able to adjust, able to rise, able to stay true to the core while changing the form. And that's how you stay unstoppable. in a world that demands your conformity. Resilience is not gritting your teeth through suffering. It's making the mind a place where pain becomes power. You've been taught that strength is silence, that toughness is numbness, that resilience means don't feel. But that's not mastery. That's suppression. And suppressed thoughts don't disappear. They just turn into sabotage. Real resilience is feeling everything and still choosing truth, still choosing purpose, still choosing self. It's the moment your thoughts want to run back to comfort and you say, not anymore. We're going forward this time. You speak to the mind like a parent to a panicked child. You lead it out of reaction, out of terror, into clarity. Resilience is when you can stare down the thought that once broke you and say, I'm not that version of me anymore, and mean it, because now your thoughts answer to your vision, not your fear. Learning is how you keep the mind humble and hungry. A mastered mind is never done. It studies itself, not with judgment, but with curiosity. It watches the subtle traps, the recurring doubts, the false identities trying to sneak back in. And it doesn't panic. It studies, it adjusts, it refines. Because the goal is not to have no negative thoughts. The goal is to be so aware that no negative thought ever leads. You must become a scholar of your own psyche. Read your triggers like scripture. Observe your judgments like data. Decode your fear like prophecy. That's how you sharpen thought. That's how you stop being ruled by it. That's how you evolve, not just intellectually, but internally. When learning becomes your posture, your thoughts become tools, not threats. And the self you're building becomes not just strong, but sovereign. And now you return to the gate, the same mind, the same thoughts, the same ghosts. But you're different. You no longer obey the first thought. You choose the highest thought. You no longer ask your mind for permission to become. You give it commands. You are no longer the puppet. You are the puppeteer. You are no longer the audience. You are the author. And the thoughts that once ruled you, they now serve you because you remember the one truth they never wanted you to see. You are not your mind. You are the one who masters it. And when you master the thought, before it masters you, there is nothing left to fear. Only the future you were always meant to build with a mind that now finally belongs to you.